So a bunch of patches have come out for Black Ops 6 Zombies, and they've affected high rounds quite a lot. So I just want to go over what's been patched and the new strategies that the community has come up with in order to deal with these patches. So the first patch that a lot of you might have seen or heard of is that when you're in a score streak or using a score streak, you cannot get any score streaks from killing manglers or like any elite enemies when using those score streaks. So for example, pre-patch you used to be able to use the mutation injection and you would be able to kill manglers with it and get another mutant injection from it. However, you can no longer do that, and I think that's a perfectly reasonable patch. The second major patch that a lot of you might not be aware of is that Dying Wish and Equivalent Exchange are now working as intended. And what I mean by that is before this patch came out, you could use your 3 Dying Wishes in a game, save and quit, and then you would have another 3 Dying Wish uses available to you. And you could basically save and quit once every single round, which meant you had 3 Dying Wishes every single round. But they have now fixed this, and so you now only have 3 Dying Wishes and 3 Equivalent Exchange uses per game, allowing for essentially 6 revives. And bearing in mind, that's on top of self-revives that are in the game. But with those major patches explained, let's get into how to play high rounds for Liberty Falls after this crazy patch. So to start this strategy off, you're first going to want to go to your weapon kits and make yourself an Akimbo GS45 kit. And if you didn't know, what you can do is when you hover over the weapon kit that you've made for the GS45, you can press 1 if you're on keyboard and mouse, or you can press, I think, left trigger if you're on controller, and this will actually save a weapon loadout for you in the zombies. And what that means is, because there's a wall buy for the GS45, if you buy that GS45 from the wall, it will give you all the attachments that you put on in your weapon loadout. Now, as you're launching into the game, because you have the weapon kit already available for you for the GS45, because it's on the wall and you can buy it at any time, I'd recommend you just spawn in with any weapon you're comfortable with using, an LMG, an assault rifle, shotgun, whatever you feel most comfortable with using. Then once you've loaded into the map, you can choose to put Rampaging Juicer on or not. It's completely up to you and how comfortable you are with playing with Rampaging Juicer or not. So first of all, you're going to want to keep the barrier from the spawn room to the bowling alley closed, as you can actually still run that strategy, but you're not going to be able to do it until a lot later on. But anyway, for the first 5 or 10 rounds, I would open up the other door and kind of play close to the Radio Shack area, or around that kind of area, just again for the first 5 or 10 rounds. Then at this point, I'd recommend you do things a little bit differently than me. When you manage to get to about round 8 or so, 8 or 9, I would buy the GS45 pistol off of the wall. At this point, it should be about a blue rarity. And then you should go and pack-a-punch the GS45s, get them dual-wield, and also buy PhD. This will make your early game so much easier than what mine was, and I wish I'd done this from the start, because you get a lot of salvage with this strategy. Another important note to this strategy is we're actually mainly going to be playing on the roof, so you want to keep the back spawn of the roof closed. So there's this kind of zip line zipping up to the rooftop from the kind of middle area of the map. It's just down the stairs of PhD. If you go down the stairs and turn to the left, you want to keep that closed. It's right next to the bank. You do not want to open that. So the 2 doors you want to keep closed are the spawn door to the bowling alley and this zip line going up from the vault area to the roof. Every other door you can open. But now that you've got the GS45 pack-a-punched, what I would recommend is you now go onto the roof, you'll have PhD, and just play until you've got enough for maybe Jug and Quick Revive. Also, for your perks, if you haven't already seen my augment video, I would very much recommend you do so, as that explains a lot of the augments I use and why I use them and how good they actually are. But once you've bought those 2 perks, or maybe Speed Cola on top because it's right there, I would then recommend you focus on pack-a-punching unless you're struggling to survive, in which case I would suggest you buy level 2 armor, which can be found in the quick revive room just on the wall. Now, alongside these pistols, I would recommend you get the jet gun. There's a very short side Easter egg quest. You can do it just to build the jet gun instead of getting it from the box. You can do it however which way you would like to, but I definitely, well, the jet gun is the main kind of piece of the puzzle to this strategy. So once you're finding your survivability pretty comfortable, I would recommend going ahead and building the jet gun. Now once you have these things, you just want to focus on basically upgrading your pistol and upgrading your jet gun to Pack-a-Punch level 3 for both of them, and also golden rarity on your pistols. There is actually an armory station right on the roof. It's just in the corner. And I would also recommend putting napalm burst on your GS45s. And this is just to help with the abomination and the manglers. So now at this point that you've got your weapons, you can basically go ahead and go onto the roof. And for the first like 30 rounds or so, it might be quite difficult because you won't have like all your perks or fully upgraded weapons. But as long as you have the jet gun, you can actually still run this strategy. And the GS pistols, you can probably camp with them all the way until about round 30 to 35 anyway, if you keep upgrading them. But basically, there is a zipline close to the ammo box on top of the roof, and that zipline will take you all the way to spawn. But what you can do is you can pretty much have your back to the zipline and kind of just sit in that little area, and all the zombies will just funnel straight into you. And what you're going to want to do is just tap fire the jet gun if you're not using GS45s. If you are using GS45s, you can probably just shoot them on the ground right in front of you. It should be completely fine. To use the jet gun, you want to tap fire it, so literally less than a 100th of a second on the trigger, and then wait about half a second to press it again, and then just keep tap firing it. And this way, the jet gun very, very slowly depletes, and you honestly clear rounds insanely fast here. Now, if you have difficulty at the beginning, don't worry. I recommend you do have Ether Shroud as your field upgrade, and this way you can just escape the area and stay on the roof, or just to give yourself some breathing room. And if you're finding that you're using the jet gun like quite a lot, again, don't worry too much. If you do use the field upgrade, the Ether Shroud, I recommend just holding out the jet gun in front of you to let it cool down faster. If you're not struggling too much, I would recommend switching to your GS45s and shooting some manglers before very quickly switching back to the jet gun in order to start camping there again. If you don't have Ether Shroud unlocked, don't worry. The alternative is a pretty slow way, but it is very safe, because all you need to do is drop down and then make your way all the way back around and go back on top of the roof. If you have spare points, I would recommend switching the trap on just to get a couple of extra kills. But that is the basis of the strategy in order to get a boatload of salvage. I do recommend getting a mutant injection for the abominations just to deal with them a lot easier. You could use a chopper gunner if you prefer, but I do recommend at least having one on hand for when the abominations spawn in. And then for insta kills, I would basically spam the GS45s, and I would go to kind of the back left corner of the roof, just so that all the zombies kind of funnel into one place. If I start getting overrun, I'll just use my Ether Shroud. If you don't want to risk this on insta-kills, you don't have to. You could probably just stand right by the zipline, shooting your GS45s right there. But yeah, from 30 onwards, you should be pretty much set up. And honestly, from round 25, the Wonder Fist spawns on top of the roof. So whenever you've got points, you can just buy the rest of your perks, and you can be fully set up in no time. Now, for vermin rounds, you might have noticed that they're actually really long for some reason, but there is a way to make them at least a little bit shorter, and it's by going in this alleyway that's just down below the spot you're actually camping. It's by these bins in the little kind of passageway from spawn to the bottom of the roof. And basically the vermin will only spawn out of the barrier on your right and the barrier just in front of you on the right as well. This is just to help speed up the vermin rounds because I know they can be incredibly annoying and long. Something else to note is that if you can buy the mangler injections or chopper gunners, just in case you don't get any like natural drops from manglers, you can do so as soon as you drop down. There is a crafting table right in front of you. It's super convenient and really nice. But now that brings me back to the reason we kept the spawn door closed to the bowling alley. Because in this spot you're not spamming score streaks all too much, and you are using the jet gun to get a lot of kills, you will be making salvage because you're not just spamming score streaks. I mean, in my game to round 70, I managed to build up 44,000 salvage. And so if you want a change of pace, or if you only want to get to round 100 and you want to do it super fast or whatever, I would recommend maybe building up to about 50,000 salvage to go from rounds like 85 to 100. It should be guaranteed. And that would be in the bowling alley spot, in which you would just buy a mutant injection from the crafting table, use the mutant injection, then as soon as you come out of it, you just buy another one. This is the fastest and safest way you could possibly get your round 100 if you're struggling to get there. But this next part is for those of you who want to go far beyond round 100 and maybe reach rounds 300, 400, 500, etc. Now, if you have seen my previous video on augments, you'll know that I was going to be talking about the quick revive augments, equivalent exchange, and dying wish. And this is where they come into play quite a lot. So if you're aiming for those really high rounds, I would recommend you put on equivalent exchange first, and then once you've used those 3 equivalent exchanges, switch to dying wish. And the reason for this is I would recommend using equivalent exchange as a final solution to being revived. I would use your self-revives first and then use equivalent exchange. This is because the way equivalent exchange works is when you go down, you have to get a kill in order to revive yourself, and you can only do that with pistols, which is why the GS45s are amazing, by the way. But you can choose between using a self-revive or killing with those pistols. And the reason you would choose to use the self-revive is because in addition to being able to craft 3 more self-revives, you can also get them as just random drops from the ground and also from the vault in the bank. So this is why I recommend stockpiling as much as you can on salvage, and then if you do happen to go down, I would recommend using a self-revive, then going into the bowling alley spot, basically playing until the end of the round, getting a vault key. I recommend purple. Those seem to have given me the best results for a self-revive. If you don't have purple, just go for gold. And then go into the vault, open up one of the vaults. If you don't get a self-revive, go back to the spot, do the mangler injection thing again, and then go back with another key. And then just keep going until you get a self-revive or until you inevitably run out of salvage. Now, currently from the experiences I've had in my game, I have had 2 self-revive downs, but whenever I had them, I would go into the bowling alley spot, I would buy the mangler injection, clear out the rounds, and then I would go with a key, open up the vault, and between 1 to 5 kind of vault runs, I have managed to get a self-revive with a purple key. And the first time this happened, I think I was already at like 160,000 salvage, and I only lost about 5,000 salvage actually doing the vault runs. The second time, I think I lost 10,000, but it took me about like 5 different keys. So only lose 10,000 salvage on like, I think it was around 160 is really not bad at all. So anyway, that's why I recommend equivalent exchange first. You can either craft your self-revives first, or you can go for them out the vault. It's really up to you. I'm just doing the vault runs first, because I don't want to have to craft mine until maybe the 300s or 400s. Hopefully not even until the 500s. But yeah, if you are having a rough time, I would recommend just crafting the self-revives. If you run out of those, use your equivalent exchanges. And then if you run out of those, I would recommend saving and quitting. Then switching to Dying Wish. And then if you run out of those and you're out of self-revives, I don't know what to tell you. It just keep practicing, and I'm sure you'll get to whatever round that you want to achieve with enough practice. But yeah, that's as pretty much in-depth as I can go. The last thing I'd say is probably have some sort of tactical equipment, whatever your favorite is. I like decoys because they are pretty fast and they work really well for me. And that would literally just be as a final resort kind of thing. But other than that, I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you. Let me know if you managed to get to round 100 because of this video. And if you did enjoy it and it was helpful, be sure to drop a like. It really helps out a lot with the algorithm. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I will have many more videos to come on Black Ops 6 over the coming year. And yeah, I hope you've all had a great day, and I'll catch you later.